Alrighty, a very, very happy Friday, and welcome to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. My name is Justin, and welcome to the TNC Sports Talk. Today is March 20th of 2026. We have made it through another week. We got one more week in the month of March, and then we are off in April. It's officially springtime, and you can feel it too, right? The little coldness breeze going through the air, but it's also warming up. Yesterday we got into the high 60s. I think even possibly low 70s. I know this weekend we're supposed to get into some 70s, and I got a fun weekend stored, at least for tomorrow wise. Right, my oldest plays her last basketball game for her elementary school on the season, and it's gonna be a special day. Before it's kind of like those milestones, accomplishments before as you grow up, right? Things that maybe as when we grew up, we took for granted. And so getting a chance to watch her, the only words I can honestly describe and educate her with is just to slow down, take your time, enjoy the environment, enjoy the settings because you never be there again. So she'll get a chance to do that. We'll take them out to the zoo. We have some zoo passes we got to use. And out here, it's kind of hard. It's that hit or miss, right? We go out, you go out there, you're hoping to see animals, and but sometimes the weather is too hot, too cold, too sticky, too uncomfortable. Um, and so I feel like tomorrow's going to be a really good day. So as soon as her game ends, we're bolting out there, and then, but we got a lot of sports heading into the weekend as well. March Madness continues as the round one should finish up today, and then we should get into when do we get into round two? I'm gonna try to work on that. Let me see. All right, so round two begins tomorrow, and then that should complete over the weekend. So we'll talk about some basketball today, give you our thoughts of what took place yesterday, get you that lineup for today's games. I do want to. We'll also talk about the American League, National League Central, the division in Major League Baseball, as we preview the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Minnesota Twins, the last teams of the divisions we have yet to preview. We will follow that up with ultimate predictions of how the standings will turn out in 2026. We'll give you a cover update of Cincinnati Reds spring training final weekend approaches, as well as Cincinnati Bearcats baseball weekend as they get ready for some Big 12 action. And then we'll talk about some WWE, getting you guys ready for SmackDown tonight as we are on the road to WrestleMania. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I do want to give you guys a brief update on what's going on our TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. For those who have liked, shared, subscribed, followed, and had those notifications on, you guys are participating and getting to see our gaming side of things. So that's our YouTube channel. We have a podcast side where we stream live here on our YouTube channel. We have a gaming side where we give you content, simulations, and franchise modes and all that stuff, so that you kind of get the best of both worlds. I'm not one who believes in separating channels from each other in different content wise. So we're kind of getting a multi-purpose, and that way there's always something you could look forward to when it comes down to whether it's a sports talk, whether it's a game coverage, whether it's computer simulations for video, sports video games. Well, one of the things we've been doing all spring, all the past month, since mid-February, is we've been giving you spring training simulations through MLB The Show 2025 video game. And we've been playing as the Cincinnati Reds, as well as providing you the games, selective games throughout spring training that we may have found interesting, focusing kind of like double headers on a Saturday and Sunday purpose, throughout the course of spring. Well, we are at the end of the spring training games. And Major League Baseball officially begins next Wednesday, the Yankees and the Giants. And I'm wrapping up on all the games that I have left to play. And so there are games that we have posted. We are still posting more games, actually, for the Cincinnati Reds last spring training, because the game didn't come out in February. It just came out earlier this week. So we played throughout the month of spring training in the MLB 25 video game. We're going to complete that spring training schedule before we jump into the next game. So as far as games are not behind, okay, today's game is going to get uploaded and the weekend game is going to get uploaded. But I got one more game that I physically have to play. I have 3 more games that I have to continue to let computer play, because there are games next Monday and Tuesday. The Reds don't play according to the last year's spring training schedule. And so those games have to get simulated before I could jump into the next game. So here is what the coverage looks like. Today you'll see the Reds and the Mariners. On Saturday, you'll see the Padres and Reds. On Sunday, you'll see the Guardians and Reds. Okay. On Monday, okay, our Reds spring training has officially come to an end. But on Monday, we'll have a doubleheader, as we'll see the Yankees and Mets at Citi Field, followed by the Royals and Rangers in Arlington. And then on Tuesday, we'll wrap things up with the Dodgers and the Angels. And so we will have coverage Monday and Tuesday. And then, but although that content I'm hoping to have done no later than, let's say, Sunday night. So Monday morning, I could get the new game. I could get the rosters situated, get all the information I need, so I could start getting content for the new game. Right? In 2026, we're going to be playing the franchise mode under the Cincinnati Reds and play all 162 games, plus whatever postseason games are there. And how we're going to do that, and then on top of that, we're going to have selected, highlighted games. So this is where you guys come into play. If there are upcoming games that you guys want to watch in the simulation, in the franchise mode, what's great about baseball is that we can, as you're in the season of the franchise mode, you can play any games you want other than your selected franchise team. And so, it stays irrelevant with stats and standings and records and all that fun stuff in between there. So if there is a selected game that you guys would like to want, please let me know down in the comments. If there is otherwise, what we will do is that we'll go with highlighted games. So my focus point is maybe Wednesday afternoon baseball or Wednesday evening baseball, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, a Sunday night baseball series. On top of the Cincinnati Reds playing, we're hoping to try to provide you that extra content. So, opening day. As of right now, I can confirm I will be giving you the Yankees and Giants on Wednesday night through the simulation. So, and then we have the Reds and Red Sox. I don't know how many extra games I'm going to be able to give you for opening weekend, but that's the goal. Sometimes, those Fox games on Saturday afternoons are played, any games on ESPN or NBC. So that's the overall concept. But, your input is valued. So please, like I said, let me know down in the comments things that could change or things that we want to see different in all of this. And we'll try to make it all happen. But that is just a quick preview of what we are expected to see here on our show. All right. Let's just keep on moving and diving in. While we're here, while we're talking about the game, this is not a promotional ad. This is something that we do out of the generosity and the kindness of our hearts. Because we talk about it, we like to also promote the MLB The Show 26 video games. Okay. Now, from what I haven't got my hands on it yet, plan to do it over the weekend, hopefully, if not beginning of next week. But what I've seen so far is new dynamics, new realistic challenges, and entities going into the game, behind the game. When it comes out of franchise mode, Diamond Dynasty, Road to the Show. I know, obviously, we talked plenty about the road franchise mode. I want to try to maybe give you a series of Road to the Show, and that's something that we can maybe preview later. But if you guys are a sports fan and wants to get us the game, this is the time to do it. Season's about to start. Play as your favorite player, create your own play, whatever the case may be. Play your favorite team and take them to win a championship. Wouldn't you love to see the Reds win a World Series this year? Well, it doesn't have to be in real life. It could be out of the video game. So get your game today. It's available on PlayStation, on Xbox, and more. MLB The Show 26 is where we got to be this season. All right. Round one of the NCAA men's basketball continues today. I can tell you so far, I've lost a few. Expected. None of my teams have yet to be eliminated completely in my final four. I was up in the air about the TCU and Ohio State game. TCU pulled away with the 66-64 victory. The other game I was kind of up, in the air with was Louisville and South Florida, which we saw Louisville pull away 83-79. High Point beat Wisconsin by 1 point. That surprised me. Duke and Vanderbilt won. Arkansas won. Michigan State won. VCU beat North Carolina. A lot of close games and the high expectations of what I expect, when it was up in the air, Texas BYU 79-71, Texas wins. A 63 to victory. Something that really surprised me was watching Texas A&M beat St. Mary's. And then St. Louis beats Georgia. Illinois wins. We saw Idaho lose to Houston. That game seemed to be very away. And Gonzaga won. So that was night one of round number 2. And then round number 1 continues today as Kentucky kicks things off here in just a few minutes, taking on Santa Clara. That's on CBS. Then at 2:50 on CBS, Tennessee State takes on Iowa State. At 7:10, we will see Northern Iowa take on St. John. And to wrap things up on CBS, we'll see Cal Baptist take on Kansas at 9:45. On True TV, kicking things off, the first tip-off is at 12:40, Akron versus Texas Tech. Then we will see a 3:15 tip-off between Hofstra and Alabama. At 7:35, Queens take on Purdue. And at 10:10, Missouri takes on Miami. On TNT, LIU takes on Arizona. Then you can see at that first tip-off is at 1:35. At 4:10, you can see Utah State take on Villanova. And then at 6:50, you can watch Iowa take on Clemson. And then to wrap things up at night at 9:25, you can watch Prairie View take on Florida. On TBS, first tip-off is at 1:50 today. Wright State takes on Virginia. Then we also see Miami, Ohio take on Tennessee. UCF take that tip-off is at 4:25. At 7:25, we see UCF take on UCLA. And to wrap things up on TBS at 10 o'clock, Furman takes on UConn. That is your round one today's matchup. Round two begins tomorrow on CBS. You have 4 games as St. Louis takes on Michigan at 12:10, followed by Louisville and Michigan State at 2:45. Then we will see at 5:15 TCU taking on Duke. And to wrap things up, we will see VCU take on Illinois on TNT at 6:10 p.m. Texas A&M taking on Houston. And Vanderbilt taking on Nebraska at 8:45 on TBS. You can see Texas taking on Gonzaga at 7:10, and at 9:45 High Point in Arkansas. We have yet to see what Sunday's games will be, but rest assured we'll give you some posted on our Facebook page. So far, not too bad. A lot of some close games and where it expected to be at, right? And I am happy to see those close games. Obviously, they don't go favor in my way, but that's it's really up for anybody, and we have already seen that a little bit. So we'll see how today's games turn out, and we'll wait to come back Monday to talk about who's going to be in the it's Sweet 16. Wow, that's how quick things move in college basketball. So, but let me know. Have you guys been eliminated yet? How many games have you guys lost? I think I've lost 2, maybe 3 so far in the tournament. Not going to get perfect. Alrighty. Cincinnati basketball, or Cincinnati Bearcats baseball, has a 3-game weekend at the UC Baseball Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, as they begin a 3-game series in Big 12 action against Utah Valley. After spending nearly a whole week in Utah, Cincinnati will host University of Utah this weekend. The first Big 12 series at UC Baseball Stadium this season kicks off Friday tonight at 6 p.m. Game 2 will be on Saturday at 3 p.m. and Game 3 will be on Sunday at 1 p.m. All 3 games will be broadcast on ESPN+. This weekend will mark the first time that the Bearcats and UTs have ever met on the baseball diamond. Cincinnati brings in a 17-6 record into play this weekend, the best start since the 2000 season, when the team also won 17 of their first 23 games. The Bearcats are also 1-2 in conference play. They're on a 2-game winning streak and 8-1 at home. UC has enjoyed the outstanding home field advantage under head coach Jordan Bichelle and is 46-15 at home since he took over the program. Cincinnati, as we mentioned, is 8-1 at home this season and has averaged 8.9 runs per game when playing at UC Baseball Stadium. That's what we love to hear. The last time Cincinnati played at home, it was a tail end of Quentin Coates' incredible 7 home runs in a week. Since then, he has continued to smash the plate and leads the country in both home runs, as he recorded 15, and total bases, 88. The Bearcats have enjoyed just as much success on the mound as well, leading in the Big 12 in strikeouts with 217, and ranked second in ERA with 3.64. Nathan Taylor is UC's leading with 34 strikeouts, ranked third in the conference. Holding things down at the back end of the bullpen has been Dominic Mario, who's owned 3 saves with a 1.08 ERA while posting 24 strikeouts per walk in a ratio. The first 250 fans for tonight's home opener in Big 12 contest will receive a Bichelle Ball Rally Towel. Saturday's game will be their first post-game autograph game of the year. Fans can pick up their first 2 seats sets of the Cincinnati baseball trading cards, and after the game, members of the team will be signing autographs up on the concourse. As always, following Sunday's games, kids will be able to run the bases. Be sure to enjoy the pregame happy hour, which features $5 domestic beers prior to the first pitch at every game. For Utah, the Utes, they own a 12-6 record entering play this weekend, having recently won 2 of their 3 games at home versus Arizona in open conference play. The Utes also took the midweek contest on Tuesday against Washington State, winning by a score of 8-5. Utes ranked in the top 5 in the Big 12 and a team ERA with a 4.21. The Friday's projection starter Colton McAnally ranks among the league's leader in ERA with a 2.67, batting average against a 173, and innings pitches 27. Cincinnati versus Xavier coming up, the Joel Knoxville Classic on Tuesday before returning to UC Baseball Stadium next weekend to host Kansas. You can follow more news on Bearcats Baseball by visiting at GoBearcatsBase on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Alrighty. So, we're learning some new things heading into the weekend. We're on the road to WrestleMania. We'll talk a little bit about SmackDown coming up later tonight. But it has been announced and revealed that Dennis Rodman will be the latest induction into this year's class of the WWE Hall of Fame. Rodman was a key figure in the NWO, New World Order. A faction started by Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan gave WCW the juice to overtake WWE in the Monday night ratings for 82 straight weeks. It wasn't simply putting in cameo work. He was in the ring taking slams and promos, puffing cigars next to Hogan, and generally embraced the business in a way few American sports superstars have ever had. He got in the ring to take a legend like Randy Savage, Diamond Dallas Page. He wrestled alongside Hogan against Malone at the Bash at the Beach. He was a symbol of WCW's popularity and access. Eventually, the company needed to outdo itself with bigger and wilder gimmicks came at the expense of developing homegrown stars. In-ring quality slipped in favor of spectacular. WWE reclaimed its spot at the top of the wrestling food chain. Now disgraced owner Vince McMahon brought WCW for a meager sum of roughly $4.2 million. That brought Rodman into the WWE family. Now he joins figures like Pete Rose, Bob Uecker, and Drew Carey in the Hall of Fame, having done more in-ring work than most other enshrined in the celebrity wing. Rodman weaved pro wrestling into the vast tapestry that made up a fascinating and entirely too public life. Now he's being recognized for that work. So, how do you guys feel about bringing in a celebrity as Dennis Rodman? And I got to say, I'm not really a fan of bringing in celebrities. I feel that the WWE Hall of Fame should be, or just any Hall of Fame, should be focused around its talent, around its officials and front office, the people who have been able to put this all together and gave us and provide us entertainment from start to finish. It's my opinion. Okay. There are talent, more than that talent. There are celebrities that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame that I have not agreed on their resume. There are other celebrities that have embraced the life of a professional wrestler that has provided entertainment and contributed to the WWE, or not just WWE's, but professional wrestling's growth over the decades. When you think of someone like maybe Kid Rock, who on a musical entertainment level has impacted and left Limp Bizkit, all those kind of rub up against a Jim Johnson over the years. You have Pete Rose, Drew Carey, Bob Uecker, Floyd Mayweather. Those are athletes. Muhammad Ali, for example, Mike Tyson. Those who are willing to put in the work, step into the ring, and give us an entertaining match at a mega spot. So it's not, a lot of people may not remember Dennis Rodman's contributions to the WWE, but he played a huge role on Monday Night Wars between WCW and WWE over the years. Throughout that time, he helped bring in new viewerships to the business, and for that, and that, like, he was willing to get into the ring. He was willing to put in the work. He was there week in and week out. He was celebrating as well as entertaining. And for that is what we're recognizing. He carried that through and through, and therefore that is why he is in the WWE. I feel like this is validated. Like you said, I don't agree with some of the names, but I feel like that is validated. And the other thing is that this class so far, which one thing that I could take appreciation to from the WWE this year, is that this class is not large. It's not overstacked. You may have room to add in one, maybe two more superstars or talent, and that's fine with me. But I think this is 4 or 5 people now. And one of them is a tag team. So, Dennis Rodman, thank you for what you've done in the WWE and professional wrestling, the mark you left on it. We appreciate what has been given, and welcome to the WWE Hall of Fame. Thinking about celebrities out here putting in the work kind of just gets me thinking, okay, that guys like, Floyd, guys like Logan Paul, who has shifted from an internet infame celebrity to a professional wrestler. He's embraced the work. He's not just someone who thinks that, hey, anyone could do it, come on, steps in and has a few matches. He's really proven himself, and I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Logan Paul throughout the years. I wish we could see a little bit more, honestly, but he's been able to hold his weight, and I think that's one thing that, as a wrestling fan, we can respect, and that's what I can do, respect. I was kind of reviewing SmackDown, that we'll talk about here in the moment tonight. And it seems to me that there's going to be another segment with Jelly Roll. I've heard Jelly Roll wanting to be more physically involved in WWE if possible. I'm not claiming that he can't perform. I haven't really honestly watch him perform. He's been protected tremendously every time he's been in that ring. But, these are the moments. I don't know. I wouldn't consider what Jelly Roll has done thus far Hall of Fame worthy. A lot of people follow Jelly Roll. For me, he's currently this big sensation, and rightfully so. But I just am not sure if, what he's done, how he's contributed is a Hall of Fame caliber position. Maybe that changes my mind throughout the year or over the next couple years. But that has been one of the biggest, I think, conversations and controversies that we have seen over years is who is worthy enough to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. We've seen baseball; they have people who are voted in. We've seen football, the similar concept. People are voted in, and I just question sometimes if the WWE should have a very similar format to then give and provide reasonings, have some sort of standard in order to qualify for being in the WWE Hall of Fame. We've seen wrestlers today that has been inducted and they come back later for runs. I mean, is it the Bella Twins in the Hall of Fame, and yet they're in competing? Trish Stratus, Lita. We've seen, Rey Mysterio, Goldberg. I mean, there are talent that has been inducted, and yet their careers aren't quite over yet. So, before we get into talking about SmackDown and tonight, I want to learn a little bit more about the coming of Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Now, as we know, heading into SmackDown tonight, Randy Orton won the Elimination Chamber match due and thanks to an outside interference from Drew McIntyre. This led to Cody Rhodes facing Drew and beating Drew to become the new WWE Championship the other week. And now we will see Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Not only that, a shift has changed as now Randy Orton was the first to initially respond in an attack off of Cody Rhodes, changing his persona to this heel character now. And, I've spoke earlier this week. I really am not a fan of this. I really feel like we've seen more come as a heel side with Cody, but maybe the WWE doesn't want to push that on him. Maybe they still depend and heavily rely on Cody to be this ultimate face. And if that's the case, that's the case. I feel like that is something that this is a perfect opportunity to move away from that. But at the same time, it is they're the ones writing the story, right? But according to an article written by Andrew Ravens earlier today, and this was something that he observed and notated from Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And so I'd like to share it with you. And it starts off by explaining Bronson Reed's injury was a deciding factor in the WWE's moving Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton to WrestleMania 42 in a singles match. With the program originally planned for Rhodes' major feud after the event, according to Dave Meltzer. Meltzer reported that while Rhodes versus Randy Orton was always the intended creative direction, the timing of the match shifted significantly. The original plan had the program taking place after WrestleMania 2 and not on the show itself. That's interesting because to me, a Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes feud has to be a WrestleMania match. No? I mean, yeah, it could fit anywhere on the main event card of any given PLE, but that's a main event match. Reed's torn bicep injury served as the clincher for WWE's decision to move the match forward with WrestleMania and pair Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu in a separate singles match at the same card. Meltzer also noted that Rhodes' WrestleMania opponent went back and forth between Orton and McIntyre during the planning process. When McIntyre was the intended opponent, there was discussions through not a certainty of a Hell in a Cell stipulation for that match. Additionally, Meltzer reported that Rhodes versus Reigns was strongly considered for Hell in a Cell match before the decision was made to shift Reigns into the program with CM Punk, which came at the expense of Brock Breaker's original plan to roll opposite of Punk. Reed has been sidelined with a hernia since the Royal Rumble in January. That was Braun Breaker. There is no optimism within the WWE that he can return before WrestleMania 42, which a plan reportedly in place for him to receive medical clearance in the time. The WWS 42 takes place April 18th and April 19th at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. All right. So let's kind of understand this for a moment. You're telling me that the initial plan was to have Braun Breaker versus CM Punk at WrestleMania. Because of Braun's injury, they moved him to Roman Reigns. Then it was Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And because Bronson Reed got injured, the shift has now been back to change since to Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And I guess I'm just a little bit confused. And I am questioning why so much confusion from WWE creative team. Did they not think that the storylines weren't going to map out? If this is the case, then I would have, put Bronson Reed, then Logan Paul, then Austin's Theory in that order, one of the orders, to be the next guy who steps up to face CM Punk at WrestleMania. You don't need to take the title off of CM Punk. But now you changed a direction significantly instead of keeping it on the same path. I still don't quite understand how it would have made sense, because then you would have Drew McIntyre as your WWE champion. Would that mean Cody Rhodes would have had to win? See, I would have watched a Hell in a Cell match between Drew and Cody. I guess for me, looking at a possible Vision versus Punk and Drew versus Cody in a Hell in a Cell match doesn't top a WrestleMania main event card, in my opinion. Drew and Cody should top a WrestleMania event card, in my opinion. Inside a Hell in a Cell, it doesn't need to be a stipulation, but it should, but it doesn't. And with Roman and Punk now, which, I have my own opinions that aren't so friendly about that one, I still, a Drew and Cody still makes a lot better sense. Look, I'm not saying that I don't want to see Randy and Cody. I think it's a great feud that I can see and definitely WrestleMania worthy. I'm just saying that I feel like there is a panic button. Every time we change directions in a storyline, change a narrative, I feel like the WWE has to take a few steps back and re-walk that way up. And we don't have many weeks to rebuild that chemistry. I'm still on the edge of sitting here and saying that I don't know why they made Randy the heel. Maybe it's that simple. It's that easy. Randy is just a better heel than Cody Rhodes. Well, we haven't seen a heel run from Cody Rhodes since he first was with the company. And I know I'm not the only person saying it. I know that I've heard other people say it all the time that we should be seeing a heel run because I feel like that would be a great work for not only his character, but for up and coming stars. I mean, look at Trek Williams, look at Javon Evans, look at Obafemi. These are up and rising stars. Jacob Fatu, for me, can be a tremendous face with the exposure of a heel of Cody Rhodes. So this entire situation, I'm glad to know this but this entire situation still leads me down the path of where it doesn't change my opinion. It's just, to me, it comes across as if the WWE is indecisive. It's not like just one person got hurt, so it shifts everybody's storyline and perspective of how we could have done things. And if that's the case, then man, I feel like you have the wrong people up at in the office trying to put these stories together. But we were supposed to see Braun and Punk because Braun got hurt. Roman was filled right in. Then we were supposed to be seeing Drew and Cody, but because Bronson got hurt, it's now Cody and Randy. Look, WrestleMania 42 is still going to be WrestleMania 42. I think it's still going to be a really good show. But there's a lot of things that don't just tie along and doesn't, seems like they're just put out there just because. Friday Night SmackDown is tonight, and we will be seeing, it will be held at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, North Carolina, as WrestleMania 42 just weeks away, and the road's biggest show of the year heats up fast with major fallouts from last week's shocking betrayal and 2 title matches on the deck. Stakes continue to rise. Tonight, you can watch SmackDown on the USA Network at 8 p.m., where we will expect to hear from Randy Orton in addressing his heinous act and attack on Cody Rhodes last week. We will see Drew McIntyre take on Jacob Fatu in singles competition. The WWE Tag Team Championships are on the line as Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga will defend them against Damian Priest and R-Truth. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championships are on the line as Jax and Lash Legend will defend their titles against the Bella Twins. Motor City Machine Guns will take on Fraxium, and Kit Wilson expects to call out Jelly Roll. That's all tonight. You can watch it on the USA Network at 8 p.m. We'll be back on Monday to recap what has taken place. Alrighty. Well, yesterday, the Cincinnati Reds, as a matter of fact, let me back up a moment. Before we get into that, we'd like to give a big shout out. And this is not a promotional sponsorship, but the WWE 2K26 video game is out. You guys can follow Universe Mode, play your dream matches, and even relive in a showcase mode of CM Punk, relive some of his historical matches, even to get a chance to rewrite history. Given with the technology attempting to win matches that he initially lost that could change and impact his career, WWE 2K, available now. Get your game. Alrighty. Cincinnati Reds were at it yesterday, and it was the Prospects game where we saw future stars of tomorrow play today. They took on the San Francisco Giants in Arizona, wrapping up spring, and they beat the Giants 10-1 final scores. They put up a marvelous 5 runs in the 4th inning. We saw Hector Rodriguez hit a home run out to center field in yesterday's game. We saw Hector Rodriguez also have an RBI single in yesterday's game as well. And so much more. It's great to see these young guys. He went 2 for 3 with a home run, 4 RBIs, and a run in. Chase Petty won the game. He pitched 4 innings, giving up a hit, an earned run, and 6 strikeouts. The Reds put up 10 runs, 10 hits, 1 home run allowed, 1 home run hidden, and with 14 total bases, as the Giants only put up 1 run off of 5 hits, leaving 8 men left on base. They return back to spring training action, taking on the Chicago Cubs later on this afternoon. Actually, this evening. First pitch is scheduled for 9:05. The Reds will be the road team as the Cubs have a split squad. The other game it will be against the Athletics. It will be taking place at the Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. The Reds enter in with a 12-14 record as the Cubs enter in with a 11-14 record. Brandon Williamson will be on the mound. Left-handed pitcher enters his last spring training outing. We know he's going to be making the opening day roster. He comes in with a 1-0 record and a 1.64 ERA. Excuse me. Pat last pitched a bit earlier this week as Matthew Boyd, left-handed pitcher, last pitch back at the end of February, is making his start today. He comes in with a 1.93 ERA and 7 strikeouts as well. You guys can listen to the game on Reds Radio Network, WOW 700. Well, the Reds will be wrapping up spring training here in Arizona this weekend. They have a few more games on the docket. Excuse me. They will host the Chicago White Sox at Goodyear Park tomorrow night at 9:05. First pitch scheduled. No pitcher has been announced for the Reds just yet. And then they'll wrap up their games in Ohio or in Arizona at the Goodyear Ballpark against the Cleveland Guardians. They'll be the road team. That first pitch is at 3:05. Now, their spring training in Arizona will be complete on Sunday, but they will be headed out to Milwaukee to take on a quick 2-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers, beginning Monday night, first pitch at 7:40, and the second game on Tuesday, first pitch is at 5:10. They'll come on home on Wednesday to play opening day against the Red Sox. As permitted, the weather will be hopefully be good for us as we at first pitch at 4:10 on Thursday opening day. Grand Marshal is Jeff Brantley. All right, let's get down to the wire here. Minnesota Twins, and last team to talk about when it comes down to this National American League Central Division. They really turned themselves around in the opposite direction last year, finishing off with a 70-92 record. They are expected to, if it wasn't for the Chicago White Sox, they are expected to finish yet again at the bottom of their division. They gave up and moved on from Christian Vasquez, Jose Miranda, and more. They did pick up Josh Bell and Alex Jackson, Eric Oze. But, this was a team that I was actually very surprised in the direction that they went down in. On a pitching-wise, some of the rotation, you got Joe Ryan. Even when he doesn't get hurt, he runs out of steam late in the season. That's something Minnesota's looking to change. And I feel like maybe it's the amount of pressure that gets put on him. Bailey O'Byrne, great pitchability, but with his hip injury commands last year. Looking to tie that up. We got Pablo Lopez, added a new changeup in his variant of pitches. Since in 2025, you have a Cy Young sleeper. Now let's look at what that lineup holds. Well, what about Byron Buxton? Finally healthy most of the season, homer 35 last year, made the All-Star team, looking for a repeat. Josh Bell probably going to fit in at your DH, could play a little bit of first base. Dependable, good slugger, could boost a shallow lineup, really help this team out. Ryan Jeffers, the catcher, altered approach, improved consistency, traded too much power for it, though. So how can we gain some of that back? So everywhere in the Minnesota Twins lineup, it's one thing or another. And I feel like it's the related topics, right? It's always, well, if this player could stay healthy, if this team could stay alive, then they have a good run. But I really don't know the direction that Minnesota is wanting to go down. They have the attempt to be a good squad, but then they trade away their good players, maybe opening up for some caps, avoiding letting them run through free agency. I'd be on the edge about Pablo Lopez. He has very good velocity, had one of the great seasons, but he's mediocre career ERA and recent shoulder issues make him too risky to keep at the top tier price tag. So can we depend on a guy like Pablo Lopez to carry this season along with guys like Joe Ryan in the rotation? On the positive note, Cody Clemens, multi-position player, eligible sleeper, who fits the ball, he hits the ball pretty hard. He misses bats. Must add target basically to free in all leagues. When he hits good. When he misses, he misses. I'd rather take a guy who misses quite often than a guy who doesn't miss quite often, right? Who doesn't take the strings. Minnesota's top in prospects heading into this season, Walker Jingson's out in the outfield. He does it all with the exceptional bat-to-ball skills and power. That's developing. He didn't make his bit less lost contact, and to make more impact in 2025, he has plenty to spare. Emmanuel Rodriguez, the outfielder, injuries obviously has been a problem. He struggles to make contact, but power is real. He posted the 90th percentile exit velocity with a 109.2 miles per hour in AAA last season. And Keelan Culpepper, the shortstop, he's solid. With one carrying tool, other than maybe his arm at shortstop, he has some power, but may not stick at shortstop. Split his arm strength, maybe a good second baseman, maybe a good, first baseman, so to speak. The bottom line is I do not see the Minnesota Twins contending this year. They may have a decent run, but as far as that, I see them finishing off in fourth place. What about those Pittsburgh Pirates now? National League Central here to wrap up the NL Central. They finished off with a 71-91. They finished off in last place this year. They're projected to be in third place this year. And quite frankly so. They've always been notorious to make at least a few noticeable splashes in the offseason. They've added Brandon Lowe. They've added Mason Montgomery. They added Gregory Soto. They've added some other key players, so to speak. I don't think that they've really given up anyone tremendous out of this. It's really how they can they complete the season. Well, you got Paul Skeens right there that, he's National League Cy Young Award defender. Should have another run this coming up year. Mitch Keller signed a long-term deal with the Pirates. Jared Jones, Braxton Ashcraft came up as a reliever, moved to the rotation, short burst. Great stuff to look out for. Ryan O'Hearn, another addition to the Pirates. Team made a splash upgrading the lineup. 2-year commitment from O'Hearn can really be valued either as a first base or a DH. Brian Reynolds coming back. O'Neal Cruz coming back. Elite bat speed. Long-term commitment with Brian Reynolds. You got Nick Gonzalez suddenly surrounded. When you got surrounded with talent like Joey Bart and Ryan O'Hearn, and O'Neal Cruz is coming through to his own. It motivates other people. So I think that the Pirates do have a strong front. They have something that I as a Reds fan is very scared about, scarce about. I'm not scared. I am worried if they have this right moment, this right streak, then this is a team that could be a force to be reckoned with. O'Neal Cruz, though, batting average, cratered to 200 last year. He has raw power. Speed provides hope, but he needs to pick up that batting average. Braxton Ashcraft, throws the ball very well, very much improvement. Looking to be in the back end of the rotation about to make a big splash. The Pirates prospects coming into 2026, Connor Griffin as the shortstop. He has all the tools, unusually advanced for a 19-year-old. Should be a power speed monster, even if it has to move to the outfield. You can see him out there at the center field spot. Bubba Chandler, the right-handed pitcher, doesn't have great command of his secondary pitches. Fastball can really overpower opponents. Set up everything elsewhere. Great shape as well as velocity. Seth Hernandez, another right-handed pitcher. Best changeups ever for a right-handed pitcher in high school. Arm out of the draft. Could move quickly thanks to more developable manual for the most. My biggest thing when it comes down to the Pittsburgh Pirates is watching them finish off a season. Because of that, I do have them finishing in fourth place. I do have them finishing in a better record this season. So, in the American League Central, I do have the Detroit Tigers finishing off in first place. They will be winning the division. They will be challenging and pushing the hand to going back as far as they can into the postseason. Following that, I have the Kansas City Royals finishing in second, followed by the Cleveland Guardians, then the Minnesota Twins, and the Chicago White Sox. In the National League, I have the Chicago Cubs winning the league, winning the division. I have the I actually have the Cincinnati Reds finishing second. I had them playing, we'll go into the wild card, just like the Royals. And I also have the Brewers finish in third. Now, this is going to be a close one because I could also see the Pirates finishing in third. But if Milwaukee is still as good as they were last year comparison, then I could see them in third. If they fall off and we have a nice run from Pittsburgh, I can see Pittsburgh in third. The reality is I see Milwaukee in third, Pittsburgh in fourth, the Cardinals in fifth to conclude your NL Central. So those are my predictions. I want to hear from you what your predictions are here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's been a fun, fast episode. Surprised I got through it quite easily. We will be back on Monday to recap spring training. I know there are a few more games left on Monday and Tuesday, but we got to get ourselves ready for Major League Baseball that comes Thursday. That's our goal next week. We will actually do a speedy run Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday for the National League and American League West Division, talking about the Padres, the Dodgers, the Angels, the Mariners, and who we think are going to win. And then we'll also recap SmackDown, talk about Raw as we continue the road to WrestleMania. And any news that breaks over the weekend, you can be sure to listen to us, and we'll cover it here first thing Monday at noon. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you guys are watching us on our YouTube channel, be sure to follow us on our podcast talk show. Follow us on our video games content that we're posting daily. It's baseball season. We have a lot of content. You could like, share, subscribe, have those notifications on. Follow us on our social media accounts. Hit that like button, share it with a friend, comment down below. Let's get into the conversation. You could reach us out on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and more. And then also want to thank everyone for tuning in to us on our audio platforms. You could download us, take us on the road, at work, at the gym, in the office, wherever you guys get your podcasting needs. The TNC Sports Talk is right there for you. We're on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. If we're not on it, let us know. We'll be on it. Well, that's all the time I have for you guys today. We'll be back Monday. Hope everyone has themselves a nice, enjoyable, fun, and safe weekend. Take care. Have a good one.